Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today we're going to be going back in our minds to our childhood and remembering some wonderful things in Vivid Memories. In Vivid Memories, you are going to be collecting colored fragments that represent memory fragments and putting them onto your own personal board, creating connections across the board, specific combinations of these colors, and then scoring victory points for all of that. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at how the game works. I'll show you on the table. We'll come on back. I'll tell you what I think of it. The game's going to be played over 3 rounds, marked right here, and at the end of those 3, whoever has the most points is going to be the winner of the whole thing. Each of those rounds has 4 parts. The prepare phase, the remember phase, the reflect, and the reward, which I will forget. But the prepare phase is going to be done by revealing a number of these equal to the number of players plus 2, in this case 2 players, so 4 of these, and then putting fragments on them. So I'm going to go ahead and make a lineup here of 4 of these tiles, like that. So these are actually the ones we're looking at right here. And then we shuffle up the bag, shake it up, and we put 4 fragments on each of these. They will have symbols on one side, so that if you have a visual impairment, you can tell them apart. And of course, the color itself as well. So we'll do that. And then once that's done, we will go into the remember phase, in which the players are going to take turns drafting or taking these fragments and putting them on their own personal board over here. The way to do that, here we go, that's the last one there. So the way to do that is you are going to take either 1, 2, or 3 fragments. They have to be taken from the edges. If something runs out of them, you can keep taking from the next one. If you take a single one, it can be anything you want to. And there's another little bonus that you can do, which is, what do they call it? Again, they have a little word for it. You can rewire. We'll come back to that. If you take 2, they have to be the same. If you take 3, they all have to be different. So, for example, as my first turn, I could take both of these red ones. And they're going to go into one of these spots that's empty. Each of these can hold 3 of these fragments, okay? But everything in one hex counts as being connected to everything in this hex. So the configuration in here does not matter. This one, this singular piece, is not necessarily connected to this and to this. Everything in there is connected to this and to this, and to this one and to this one, okay? So I've gone and the other player will go. If you empty out a tile, say this player takes that, and they put these things in there, then you are going to take this and plug it into one of these places. In fact, you don't have to do it yet. You can just hang on to it for right now. And then it'll come back to me. And perhaps on my turn, I'll take all 3 of these because all 3 are different, okay? And again, they have to go into the same one. So perhaps I'll do something like this. I'll put them all in here. Do that, all right? And then it'll go back to my opponent here, and this will continue until all of these are taken. If you take a single piece, then you can do that rewire action. The rewire lets you choose a hex, and then from that hex, move any number of tokens to adjacent spaces, or move any number of adjacent fragments into that hex. Here's what I'm saying. So let's say it's my opponent. They take this one, and they're going to put it here. And then they will rewire from this one out, and they will move this one in here. And they are trying to create a connected line. We'll talk more about that when we get to scoring. So once that's done, any of these that you have, you're going to plug into one of these locations. Let's say I want to do this one here, for example. I'll put that there. And my opponent will put theirs right there. Maybe I ended up with this one, and they ended up with this one. All right? So there we go. It'll look something like that. Once that's done, then we do the reflect step, the 3rd step. And in that one, we are going to trigger these abilities if we want to, in whatever order we want to, okay? And they are going to allow you, here's the guide for that. This one here lets you get rid of 2 and replace them with a new one. And you can do that from the supply of these, not from the bag. So they have to come from the same place, and then you put a new one in there. This one lets you blind draw one and add it somewhere that's empty. This one lets you move one. This one lets you swap two. And then these tiles themselves will let you add new things. That gives me a red one. That gives me a purple one. And after I do that, then I can flip this over, and it's a scoring opportunity. Okay? But only after I do the ability can I flip it over. Once that's done, and we're done with that reflect step, then we do the reward step in which we're going to score things. So you are going to score for a few different things. And again, they talk about it over here in the end of round. So we do the tile and memory bank actions that I just did. We're going to score moment tiles, which are these things here. And the way that works is, for every hex you have that has exactly the listed combination, in this case, one purple, one red, nothing in the third spot. So I probably would have, if I intended to do that, moved this out. Then every time I see that on my board, I'm going to score 4 points. And I cannot wait on this and do it later when it happens more times. If it happens even once, I have to score it, and I get 4 points for that. I am represented by this token right here, so I would then score 4 points for that. And this can now go away. I just set it aside. So that's the scoring the moment tiles. After that, I score threads, which are connected edges. You'll see these spots here have a symbol that matches the tiles. And if I can connect two of them that share a color, say my friend over here can have this there, they are connecting this down here, that purple edge, through these hexes to that purple edge. And again, the configuration in there does not matter. Those hexes are connected and they contain purple. Then my opponent is going to score that. They'll take the closest one to here and put it there, the closest one to here and put that there. And then they will be scoring points every one of these rounds for every grouping that they've fully completed. Some are singular tiles, like this green here, would give you a point every round. To do this one, I need a blue and a purple and a red, but it's 18 points. If I can do that by the second round, I'll get 18 during the second round, and I'll get 18 during the third round. That's a lot of points. Probably won't be able to do that, but that's how that works. And then once that's done, so scoring a thread, which I just did, then you score what they call core memories. That's the clusters, the groups here. And then lastly, at the end of the third round only, we also score our aspirations, which I'll talk about in 1 second. But once we've done that, score these, use the abilities, score these, score the lines, the connections, score the clusters if they're finished. Then we just go to the next round, in which we reveal 4 more of these, go there, we fill it, we take them, we place them, okay? At the very end of the game, you're going to score this, which is your aspiration. Everybody gets one of these randomly at the beginning of the game. And at the end of the game, you can reveal it. You can see your own. And score it. You are going to get 1 victory point for every one of your color that is on the central brain board here. You're going to get 2 points for each one that has made it out to a core memory. And you're going to get 5 points for each one you scored on one of these boards. So each of these boards that shows your color, you're going to get 5 victory points. So 1 on the board, 2 on a cluster, 3 on a scoring tile. 5 on a scoring tile. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game is going to be the winner, like I said. Some of these are going to have various abilities, like this one says give up a blue, and then put a yellow and a red into that spot. If you cannot fit both into the spot, because it came from a place that had 3, right? So, for example, let's say I have that, and I want to use this ability because it's plugged in right here. I could give up the blue, and then I have to put a yellow and a red in there. If I cannot put in both, I can pick which one I want. So I might just do the yellow, and then flip this over. And this is going to score. Some of them will require specifically 2 and nothing in the third. Some need exactly 3, and then they'll give you more points. So this will be worth 6 instead of 4. But there you go. That's everything going on in the game. Let's go ahead and go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. All right, so there we go. I am a big fan of Matthew Dunstan and Brett J. Gilbert, who often do work together. I tend to like their games. This is one I was psyched about because it's a gorgeous looking game. I love the artwork in here. I think the whole thing is very warm. It is nostalgic and meant to be so. And yet, I really don't like this game. This one just was missing something for me. I think, in fact, that the gorgeous cover and the promise of something nostalgic and warm and welcoming worked against it at the end of the day. So we're going to start here. I'm going to go ahead and break it down, try to illustrate why I feel the way I feel in my target system breakdown here. So, from the top, the theme and the setting. I think the theme is lovely. The theme is nostalgic. It is wonderful. The setting is your brain and its synaptic connections and core memories and what. It's just so abstracted, and the again, I feel slightly lied to. That this is what I was promised, and this is what I ended up with. You know, it's this thing here is what I got, with a bunch of colors just thrown in there like someone threw up Skittles all over my brain. So that's a huge disconnect for me, and I just do not like the way it ends up looking. And I'll talk about that in 1 second here, but the actual thing I'm doing is not the theme or the theme that was promised, right? The setting is my brain. The aesthetics, the artwork pieces on their own, I think are lovely. Again, it's a beautiful looking game. Once you get in there though, visually the game is very confusing. I do not like the visuals of having a hex be represented by 3 things which you can freely rotate. They are meaningless where they are. And then a connection through them is not as apparent when you see the fragments connecting sides that don't really line up. I just found it visually to be an absolute mess. I don't like the way the game looks. And by that I mean, I can't think of a different way in which they could have gotten across to me that you can have 3 colors in one space, and that space counts as all 3 colors. I can't think of a way to change that. This is not a way I like it, okay? The replay value. I mean, you have a secret scoring goal, which will be different. The game's kind of puzzly. I guess if you like the puzzly nature, I could see it coming back, you know, or you coming back to it. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of differences here from one session to another. You can try different things, you know, and I'll talk about that in tactics, luck, and strategy. But I think the replayability isn't bad, but I don't think it's high either. The game arc is interesting. I wouldn't want the game to be longer than the 3 rounds it takes, okay? I think that would be too long. And yet, I felt like I didn't do much. Finishing the big clusters here for the 18 points is very hard, and you need to solely pretty much focus on that if you intend to do that. So then I work on it for the first round, I work on it for the second, and then on the third I complete it. I got 18 points. Yes, and then the game is over, and I score some more points for other random stuff that I have hidden. Not random, but, you know, stuff I've been working towards because it's my secret goal. So it both feels like I wouldn't want it to be longer, and yet I didn't really do a whole lot in the game. That's just generally, you know, the drafting's a little like Azul, but in Azul, I feel like I played a whole game as I complete these things and transfer them over and slowly build this tapestry. In this one, I do not feel that way. And I think it's a lot of it is a visual sort of cues sort of thing. The ease of play. There's so much terminology in this game that is fully meaningless and is merely there to try to sell this theme of, you know, core memories and synapse rewiring and, oh my goodness, they have so many. The way the phases are termed, you know, the tiles and what they represent, the fragments and the moments and the rewire action and memory bank actions. That is not helpful. Teaching this thing, if you intend to use all that terminology, makes it so much more annoying to teach than just going less abstract, you know? Or more abstract so that I don't have to deal with these weird terms. Again, I thought the game was about this, not neuroscience. That's one of my issues there. And then lastly, tactics, luck, strategy. There's some things to think about here, okay? These designers are good designers. The game's not going to be brain dead. No pun intended. There's going to be a couple of things you're trying to do that are at odds, right? There is the threads and clusters is one thing. Trying to complete connections and then fill those clusters, the core memories, for victory points. Fighting against that is your secret goal. Fighting against that, both of those, is getting specific tiles in a section to score them from those little tiles that you deplete and then take. All of those things are fighting against each other. You have 3 rounds to find a nice balance between doing all of that or some of it or whatever. That's not compelling necessarily, but it's not bad, okay? Having said all that, though, and I'll restate, I just really did not like it. Maybe it was partly because of my expectations of what this might be. I think that's a sliver of it, okay? It's also just not feeling the look, not feeling the rhythm in this game, not loving that this is just so much window dressing. I've played now this game with, I think, 4 different people in various groups that I've taught it to. No one liked it. There's something missing here. There's a little flavoring, something. There's something missing that I didn't really love. The game's not awful. I'm not saying avoid it at all costs. I'm just saying it really missed the mark for me, okay? It's well finalized. It's attractive. Pieces are high quality pieces. Everything in here is high quality cardboard, and the slivers or the shivers or the whatever they're called, fragments. They are good quality pieces. Very well made. It's just the game is not fun. This is a game I do not want to play ever again. I played it quite a few for this, but I really, really don't want to play again, okay? So, I'm going to come in with this one because, again, from my own point of view and the couching that and how well this is made, I'm going to come in at a 4 for this one. So this is a 4 out of 10. I do not recommend it. If you find yourself curious, it's not a huge investment if somebody has a copy to try it out. You're looking at maybe 40 minutes, maybe 45. It does say 30 to 60 on the box. So there you go. But yeah, I was not a fan. So unfortunately, this is a miss for me from these designers and this company that are all, everyone involved is very, very good at what they do. This one just didn't work out. So there you go. That is Vivid Memories, everybody. Thanks very much for checking this out with me. My name is Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.